talk about this enormous story, Congressman, because members of the House Intelligence and Foreign Affairs Committee's information was reportedly compromised by three brothers who were hired to manage information technology in their offices. Now, BuzzFeed News first reported the story, and now the Daily Caller is saying that the brothers were barred from computer networks at the House of Representatives. They're suspected of serious violations, including accessing members' computer networks without their knowledge, stealing equipment from Congress. Congressman, no members of Congress are under investigation, obviously. No arrests have been made, according to the U.S. Capitol Police. Explain what the heck happened here. Three brothers were working in the IT department for congressional members.
Congress is decentralized, and that's good and bad. Every member makes decisions on their own IT, but the system is actually centralized. So these three brothers worked for multiple members of Congress. In other words, they were paid amounts by several members. Each of them totaled up about $160,000 of pay.
That is a huge salary, by the way.
Huge for people working in Congress. Usually one person, the chief of staff, will make close to that. So this was, for some reason, for these young people, very high pay.
One guy was 22 years old, right, and he is making $161,000.
I mean, people on the Hill work for cheap or free more often than they work for big dollars. What's interesting is they had a lot of passwords, they had a lot of access, and although I said each of them worked for individual members, there's some question about whether they were able to compromise over those lines other members, in other words, get to my office, get to somebody else's. And it is one of the problems in the House is that we're neither centralized and guaranteed protection or completely separate, so we do our own firewall. So it's deeply concerning when you have this where it may have compromised, for example, Intelligence Committee activities, Foreign Affairs Committee activities, and of course, you know, the basics of how did these people get this kind of money, and what else were they doing to justify this? Because it isn't justified based on the jobs they were doing.
Well, one of the brothers recently, I think in the last 4 or 5 years, declared personal bankruptcy. And what I'm nervous about this is when you have people in money trouble, with that kind of access, that's a dangerous combination. Someone can be introduced, he can be convinced to do almost anything if he's got lawsuits against him to pay bills, particularly if they're making outsized money. Something about this shared employee thing has to be understood.
Well, I want to know if there's more to this other than just stealing data. I mean, do they have ties to terrorism in any way? Why weren't they arrested?
Well, there's enough, apparently, to arrest them. The question I would have is there more, and is there an ongoing investigation? And as members of Congress, we don't want to interfere, but I do feel like my constituents' information is at risk, and there does have to be an answer for all members of Congress.
Do we know if they have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood?
You know, it's too early to tell whether they had any nefarious activities, whether it was that or WikiLeaks or anything else. What we do know is we've got to get to the bottom of it and then have some level of protection for one member of Congress from perhaps mistakes made by others. And that's going to be, House administration is going to have to take that on. But it's important because if you're a constituent and you do a case file, you want to be protected.
Congressman, thank you.